Silent Hill 2. Man, it's finally time. I've been waiting to experience this game for so long. I've always known about the Silent Hill franchise mainly because of my dad, but it wasn't until high school where I went and looked more into the franchise. What made me want to learn more about Silent Hill was when I got my first guitar and discovered Laura's theme from Silent Hill 2, and I tried to learn it. I completely fell in love with the song and needed to get my hands on Silent Hill 2. So I went online to see if I can buy a copy, but I think the original Silent Hill 2 is rare because there was not a lot for sale, and the ones that were pretty damn expensive, especially for a 10th grader who couldn't work yet. I mean, this game did come out back in 2001, so part of me did doubt that I would find it. Years gone by and I still had that itch to get my hands on the game. Then the trailer for Silent Hill 2 Remake dropped. I knew this was my chance. I wasn't gonna miss out like I did with the original. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't born in 2001, so it wasn't my fault. You know, I'll blame it on my dad because he never got Silent Hill 2 and he doesn't have his Silent Hill 1 copy or his PS1. You ruined my life, Dad. Nah, he made up for it because he bought me the Silent Hill 2 remake. I finally have it. I can finally experience it, and y'all get to experience it with me. But whatever, let's just start.
Could you really be in this town?
This is James. He got a letter from his wife Mary saying she's all alone in the town of Silent Hill. Despite James knowing this can't be true since Mary passed from a disease 3 years ago, he can't help but to go to Silent Hill and look for her. James then walks deeper into the forest, going deeper and deeper into the fog until he arrives at the graveyard. There's a girl there looking at a tombstone. James asks for directions to Silent Hill. She gives them to him, but warns him that the town is dangerous. James doesn't care if it's dangerous or not. He tells her that he's looking for someone, and she says she's looking for someone too, her mother. James then continues to venture deeper into the fog. James makes it to Silent Hill and enters an old flower shop. Something is definitely wrong with this town. No one's around and everything looks deserted. James sees a trail of blood and decides to follow it. That's when he sees an armless thing. He calls out to it, but there's no response. He continues to follow the trail into this abandoned room. He walks through this house and picks up the buzzing radio. That's when James sees a bloody creature with no arms staring right at him. He grabs a piece of wood and has no choice but to fight it. By now, James definitely knows this town isn't right. As he leaves the building, a voice on the radio can be heard, but it's breaking up. The last word it says is James. The town of Silent Hill now has these armless creatures walking around, and let's just say I'm not taking any chances with these guys. After getting half of a record disc, fixing it, then finding the jukebox number 2 and a coin, James plays the record. The song reminds James of the spot him and his wife would spend a lot of time at, their special spot. But the box malfunctions, giving James a key. He uses this key to access the back room of the bar. Here, he finds a note leading him to a blue car. He picks up a key from this bloody coat, but gets ambushed by the weird creatures. After that fight, the fog thickens and the wind picks up. To go to James and Mary's special spot, we must go through the Woodside Apartments. James isn't alone. We walk into this room, grab a flashlight, then we're introduced to a new monster. This monster is comprised of only 4 feet. and that's it. Also on a mannequin, James sees clothes that look just like Mary's. While exploring, James finds a key behind some bars. As he goes to grab it, a little girl kicks them out of his range and runs away.
Hey! Wait! Damn it.
We go back to where the little girl kicked the keys and we pick them up. We make it to this room full of bullet holes. James now has a piece on him. James goes back through the hole in the way he came from, but there's now a body with only its head covered sitting in front of a TV. James wants to pull the sheet off but decides not to. Next, we push this cabinet and enter this strange room with a lot of scribbles everywhere. James enters the code in the safe and grabs a coin. This will be useful later on. Anyway, James can now open up a new door, letting us access more of the apartments. James takes out a lot of those leg monsters before making it into the laundry room. James drops some soda down in the garage chute, revealing another coin. Before we get that one, we have to get another coin. James enters the room and sees a man dead in the fridge. We then hear a voice. There's a man in the bathroom who keeps saying it wasn't him.
Hey, who's there?
It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, I swear.
Hey, are you okay?
I didn't do anything. He was like that when I got here.
He... Oh, you mean the man back there? In the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill him.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not saying that you did.
This is Eddie. Like James, something brought him to this town. Anyway, now we gotta fight off all these enemies to get the coin. Next, we pick up the coin from the garbage chute and head to this machine. This is where our coins are gonna be useful. This machine has a riddle that we're gonna solve. Solving this gives us a key to apartment 201. James arrives in the room and a body of one of those leg monsters drops behind him. James then hears grunting. That's when we see a new monster. Pyramid Head. He's forcing himself onto one of the leg monsters. James hides into the closet, but Pyramid Head knows he's in there. James raises up his pistol and takes a few shots. This doesn't faze Pyramid Head, but he does start to act a bit strange. Pyramid Head hears a noise and leaves the room, dragging the leg's body with him. James now has to hop over this building, taking him to the other world. This building is so much more run down. To me, this is telling us James is descending further and further down this town. So the place we are now in is called the Blue Creek Apartments. And the environment here is fantastic. It makes you feel uneasy just by looking around. Our next puzzle has to do with this clock. James finds the key, letting him access the room. He crawls under this thing, takes out some enemies, and grabs this valve. James then runs through this hallway that's filled with enemies, and he makes it into this room. We use the valve we got, giving us a clock hand. James pulls down this lever, letting us go back to the clock room, and we put the hand on and set it to 9, opening a door. James goes through this door, breaks a wall, and sticks his hand deep inside this toilet and gets another clock hand. He walks out the restroom to see that this room has completely changed. James grabs this pigeon, which is the first part of this next puzzle. We then travel to another room and grab the next 2 pieces. We go back to the room we got the pigeon at and do this quick little puzzle and get a key. This lets us open a door with a hole in it, and James has no other choice but to jump down. James makes it to a room and sees the girl from the cemetery laying down with a knife.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah. I'm James.
Angela.
Angela. Okay. Look, I'm not sure what you're planning, but there's always another way.
Really? What's the point? It's easier just to run. Maybe it's all we deserve.
We?
Me. You. We're all the same.
I'm not like you. Did you find your mother?
No. Not yet.
Did she live here? In this building?
I don't know.
So all you know is that she lived in this town?
What did you say? How did you know that?
Well, I just figured because this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
We have to find my mama.
Should I go with you? This town really is dangerous. Now I know what you meant back there in the cemetery.
No, it's okay. Besides, I'd just slow you down.
What about that?
Will you hold it for me?
Sure, no problem.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do. No! I'm sorry! I've been bad! Please don't!
Now we have Angela's knife and a key to the next area. We head back to the clock room and put the hand on it. Now we gotta go get the last clock hand. We get it, put it on the clock, opening a door. We enter and Pyramid Head is there, waiting for us. After he leaves, we can finally make it out of the Blue Creek apartments, back to the outside streets of Silent Hill. James walks down the street and sees the little girl who pushed the keys and stepped on her hand. The little girl says something interesting.
What you got there?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
What? Hey, wait! How do you know her name?
Anyway, James makes it to the pier, James and Mary's special place. But Mary isn't here. Instead, it's a woman named Maria. She looks and sounds like Mary, yet she's different.
Mary? No. You're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife. I can't believe it. Your face, your voice, you could be...
My name is Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I?
We then follow her to a motel, do a little puzzle to figure out the safe code, and we get a key. James and Maria continue to the other special spot, but the road leading to it has completely caved in. The wind starts picking up and now the town is full of monsters. James and Maria run and make it inside a building. This is a place for exotic dancers, which Maria teases James with. The two talk about whether James is crazy for thinking his wife Mary, who passed away 3 years ago, could still be alive in the town of Silent Hill. They leave the building and make it to the other special spot, which is a garden. Maria tells James a story.
Tells of a woman who was cast out, sentenced to die on an island out on the lake. There was a man in town who fell madly in love with her. And every night, he would sneak out, row across the lake, bringing her food and company. And every night, she would stand there on the shore, holding a lit candle to help him find his way. But this one night, a terrible storm broke out, caught him out in the open, and it blew out the candle. Even in darkness, the man would not give up. He would not turn back. So he fought against the raging waters until finally the lake took him. They say even then, the woman never lost hope. She kept coming out at night, kept lighting the candle to bring her beloved home, to lead him to shore.
James starts to feel frustrated at the fact Mary isn't here. James has never been here before. He starts saying he should have never came to this town. Maria tells him don't worry, there's other places to look, but they're interrupted by a scream of the little girl. James and Mary rush to the movie theater, but only James enters. He told Maria to wait outside. Inside the theater, you can hear Eddie and the little girl having a conversation. James goes to Eddie, but Eddie is acting a bit strange.
Are you alone here, Eddie?
No.
Hell.
That's probably just Laura messing around.
The little girl? Laura, is that her name?
That's what she said.
I'm gonna go look for her.
James then goes to look for Laura. He sees her, but she keeps running away. We continue to run after her, leading us outside, meeting back up with Maria, who saw her run. Laura then heads into the Brookhaven Hospital.
James? What if you can't find Mary?
I will find what it is the truth is.
Please open the door. There's something in here.
First thing we gotta do is get this lock open and get the key to the basement. While headed to the basement, we see Laura running up the stairs, but we're not gonna chase her just yet. We need to go to the basement first. What we gotta do down here is start up the generator, so the first thing we do is find some gas. After that, we pour the gas into the generator and get that running. That's gonna make the elevator start running, so James and Maria take it to the second floor.
Maybe you should rest.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, James has to search for Laura solo. James encounters a new enemy, which are the nurses. These don't go down without a fight. Definitely the toughest enemy besides Pyramid Head. After that, James enters a room and listens to a recording by a doctor who used to work here in the hospital. James gets the info about the 3 patients, starting our next puzzle, which is trying to get the key out of its hand. First thing we get is a bent needle that was inside the teddy bear. Also in this room, we get a shotgun. Next, we take out another nurse and get a key to the room. Next, we take out another nurse and get a key to room L1 and the inner ward key. First room James enters is L1. He pushes this crate and climbs into the next room. Now James has to go down this hole, leading him back to the first floor. He continues to climb and go under stuff and gets a bracelet. The room then changes and James gets attacked. James makes it out and is back on the first floor where he is greeted by 2 nurses. He takes him out and unlocks the door, entering the inner ward. Here, there are a couple things we need to get, starting off with this cleaning bottle. Next, I go outside and make it to the pool room. The next objective is to drain the pool. To do this, we combine some things and fish this key from this hole. We go back and open the maintenance thing and drain the pool. We break this wall and get another bracelet. Next, we head over to the nurse's office, put this code, and pick up this x-ray picture. We clean it up using the cleaning supplies we got earlier. We go back upstairs and see Laura, but she still doesn't want to talk to us, so she runs away. Anyway, we go back to the doctor's office, rearrange these x-ray pictures, giving us a code. We use that to open up the room where we get the third bracelet. We go back to the room with the hand, use the bracelets to open the hand, giving us a key to this room where we gotta rearrange the books to match the symbols with the numbers. We put in the code and get the key to the rooftop. We head there, grab a note, and then we get back up and walk alongside this hallway. Then we see Laura.
Why do you keep running away from me? And how do you know about Mary?
I just do. What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
You gonna yell at me if I don't? Mary's my friend. We met at the hospital last year.
Stop lying. Laura, I'm sorry.
Fine, don't believe me. See if I care.
Hey!
Let go.
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
Look, just stay with me, okay? This is no place for a kid.
Fine. But there's something I gotta get.
Laura.
It's important.
Laura?
We're locked behind this door, but we're not alone. We wake back up in the hospital, but it's so much more broken down. This is the Brookhaven Hospital Otherworld.
All you care about is that dead wife of yours. Don't leave me alone again. You're supposed to take care of me.
Come on. It's gonna be fine.
James rides up the elevator and enters a room with a chest with 3 different locks on it. To get the first thing we need, we go upstairs and break the arm off this mannequin. We then climb down this ladder, take out some enemies, and grab this. We go back to the mannequin and poke its eye, giving us a key, which is the first part for the chess puzzle. We then head over to get a code. We set this clock to 2, take out some nurses. Next, we break down this wall and get all 3 clues to figure out the code. We now have 2 out of the 3 things we need to solve the chess puzzle. Time to get the last one. We start off by going to get the key to the director's room. After taking out a good amount of enemies, we get the key and enter the director's room. James climbs up the ladder, turns on a generator, then presses this button, giving us the last code we need for the chest. James enters the 2 codes, then opens the chest only to find nothing inside. This statue gets revealed and it gives us an elevator button. We make our way through the floor and pick up this ring. Then Maria shows back up.
James!
Mary! Oh. Maria, I thought... Sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? I was almost killed back there. I have never been so scared in my whole life. All you care about is that dead wife of yours. You couldn't care less about me, could you?
No, I just...
Then stay with me. Don't leave me alone again. You're supposed to take care of me.
We head back to the second floor and put the rings on this hand opening a door. James and Maria walk down the stairs, but then Pyramid Head shows up. The two of them run towards the elevator.
Come on, hurry!
James is all alone again. He goes back to the entrance, grabs a key to leave the hospital, and sees Laura running in the streets of a nighttime, rainy Silent Hill. And that's where I'm going to end the story section and talk about the actual game part of Silent Hill. So Silent Hill 2 falls into the survival horror genre. Survival horror, to me, is the best type of horror game. Health and ammo are pretty scarce, making you feel pretty helpless at times. You gotta make tough decisions at times, like whether or not to waste bullets on an enemy and instead choose to get close up for some melee. But doing that makes you run the risk of getting hit and having to use up your healing. It's things like this that makes every decision feel important, because they will have an impact on your playthrough. To me, this just adds to the horror. Not having a lot of ammo and healing makes my anxiety spike up every time I encounter an enemy. What's also a great touch is the combat itself. A lot of games will have a regular everyday guy like James use a gun for the first time and just be an absolute badass killing machine, which is fine for an action game, but I don't think it would really fit well in a horror game. Luckily, Silent Hill 2 perfects this problem. When James uses his melee weapon, he feels like someone who's swinging with panic. When James swings his weapon, he lets out noises that represent panic. Being able to stomp the enemies on the floor well after they're dead just feels real to me. Like that's something a scared, panicked guy would do in this situation. A good way to describe it is James fights like he just got the adrenaline boost from the fight or flight instinct us humans have. When James finally gets a pistol, it still feels really realistic. The aiming in this game isn't finely tuned to be perfect. You have to take your time and line up your shots or you will waste ammo. Then when you actually line up your shot, you can't just spam shoot because again, James is a normal person. He's not some trained officer or anything like that. So when he shoots, there's an actual recoil. When moments get tense and the panic starts to settle, having this recoil adds to the panic, giving the player an immersive horror experience. Speaking of immersion, my god, does this game nail psychologic horror. No matter what part of the game I was in, my anxiety was spiking. I could just be roaming the streets of Silent Hill and I would still feel on edge like something was watching me. I knew I was never alone. I always felt the presence of something with me. Whether or not I was just in the streets, a more open area, or when I was in a building, which is a closed-in area. The town of Silent Hill feels like it used to be lived in. I say used to because this bitch is abandoned. While exploring, you can get that feel that real people actually lived here. This town wasn't always abandoned, filled with monsters, and me personally, I absolutely love this type of environment. This adds mystery and intrigue, which helps me immerse into the world they're trying to build. All over town, you can find notes left behind by the actual town folks that give you some lore about some of the areas. Now, when you enter the main buildings is when the game is at its scariest. There's just something about being in an old, broken down building that puts me on edge. I also can't stress this enough, but they did a 10 out of 10 with the designs of these environments. Now, I know the whole saying, graphics don't matter, gameplay does, and while I do agree with that, it doesn't mean graphics can't totally enhance your overall gaming experience. Silent Hill 2 Remake is one of those games that greatly benefit by having absolutely amazing graphics. I don't know what it is, but these are some of my favorite graphics. The lighting is done perfectly, the humans look great, and the monsters are so well designed. Now, I love this game's whole experience, but I do have a couple minor complaints. Well, actually, it's just one. So towards the end of the game, there are just more enemies in the area, which, I get it. The more you progress, the harder a game is going to be. But I don't think it worked too well in a survival horror game. More enemies didn't make the game scarier, it just made the enemies feel more like a chore. Instead of being on edge thinking something was in here with me or not, like I said earlier, it becomes too expected, if that makes sense. And that's my only complaint, which is probably just a me thing. Now, I don't really know how to properly transition into this next part, so listen to my yap session. That's probably wrong, but this is how I interpret Silent Hill 2. So in the beginning, we hear James read a letter from his dead wife, Mary, bringing James to Silent Hill. All the other characters you see in this town are all broken in their own way. all having a different reason for going to the town of Silent Hill. I think everyone is seeing their own version of the town. I think this because all the monsters James sees are specific to him. Now, I didn't find a connection for every monster, but I did find a few. So these monsters I'm gonna bring up represent what James wanted and desired in his wife. The legs enemies is James wanting his wife to show more skin. The nurses are also showing a lot more skin, wearing short skirts and showing some cleavage. Again, what James wanted in his wife. When Mary was sick, she got to a point where she wouldn't move much, and those two monsters could represent James' sexual frustration. The enemies that are wrapped up could represent feeling trapped in your own mind, unable to get over what you've done, you know? And lastly, I want to talk about Pyramid Head. The first time we see him, he's doing the nasty with one of the leg monsters. We then see Pyramid Head kill the other monsters and even stabs Maria, making James see the person who looks just like Mary die all over again. Pyramid Head is there to remind James of what he did to his wife. So back to my point that everybody sees Silent Hill in their own way. Everything we see is all related to James' trauma, which wouldn't make sense for the other characters who are there for their own reasons to see. Anyway, Yap Sesh is done. Final thoughts. This game is great. I say go play it if you're into some real horror games, not just these dumb mascot horror games that are everywhere nowadays. Just don't let the ambience mess with your head like it did to me. I swear I paused so many times playing this game because I needed to let my anxiety calm down. But hey, it was still pretty fun. Thank you so much if you liked this video, and like and subscribe if you want to see more. And well, I'm out of here.